Wu Jin pressed his back against the cold metal wall and listened. The sound of heavy boots echoed through the narrow tunnel above him. He counted them carefully. 5 aliens, maybe 6. They would pass soon, and then he could continue his search. For useful parts, the 16-year-old boy lived in the deep tunnels beneath New Seoul Station. Most humans called this place the Undercity. The aliens who ruled the galaxy called it a waste dump. Wu Jin called it home. He waited until the footsteps faded away. Then he crawled through a broken air vent and dropped into another tunnel. One led to the garbage disposal area. Rich aliens threw away many good things. Wu Jin made his living by finding these things and fixing them. His small flashlight cast dancing shadows on the tunnel walls. The light came from a broken alien device he had repaired months ago. It worked better now than when it was new. Wu Jin had that gift. He could make broken things work again. 9 years had passed since his parents died in the mines. Wu Jin remembered little about them except their kind voices and warm hands. The mine accident took many human lives that day. The alien overseers said it was nobody's fault. They said humans were just not careful enough. After that, Wu Jin lived alone. Other orphans came and went, but he stayed in the deep tunnels. He knew every passage, every hiding place, every secret way through the Undercity. This knowledge kept him alive. The garbage area smelled terrible, but Wu Jin had learned not to notice. He searched through piles of broken electronics, torn fabric, and rotting food. His trained eyes spotted useful items quickly. A damaged power cell here, a bent circuit board there. Even the smallest parts had value. Still digging through trash, Wu Jin? He turned around. HFY stood in the tunnel entrance, her arms crossed. She was 1 year older than Wu Jin, and worked as a mechanic in the human sectors. Her coveralls were dirty from fixing air recyclers all day. "This trash pays for my food," Wu Jin said with a smile. He held up a small crystal component. "Look at this. The aliens threw it away because it has a tiny crack. But I can fix it." HFY shook her head. "You should find real work. The human sectors need good mechanics. I like working alone." "You mean you like hiding alone?" Wu Jin did not answer. HFY was right, but he would not admit it. The world above felt too big, too bright, too full of aliens who looked at humans like they were insects. "Have you eaten today?" HFY asked. Wu Jin shrugged. Food was always a problem, but complaining would not help. HFY pulled a wrapped sandwich from her pocket. "Dong-su made extra. He said to give this to any hungry orphans I found." Dong-su was an old man who had lost his legs in the same mine accident that killed Wu Jin's parents. Now he ran a small food stall in the human quarter. He always made sure the orphans had something to eat. "Thank him for me," Wu Jin said, taking the sandwich gratefully. As he ate, a low rumble shook the station. Both young people looked up at the ceiling. Ships arrived and left New Seoul Station every day, but this sound was different. Deeper, more powerful. "Big ship," HFY said, "really big." Through the small window in the tunnel wall, they could see lights moving outside. A massive alien vessel was docking at the upper levels. Its hull gleamed with blue and silver patterns that hurt to look at directly. "Federation inspection ship," HFY whispered. "They only come when something important is happening." Wu Jin felt his stomach tighten. Federation inspections meant trouble for humans. The aliens would check every sector, every worker, every piece of equipment. They would find reasons to punish people. They always did. "I should get back to work," HFY said. "The supervisors will want everything perfect before the inspectors arrive." She hurried away, leaving Wu Jin alone with his thoughts. He finished the sandwich and returned to searching through the garbage. But his mind kept wandering to the big ship outside. Hours passed. Wu Jin filled his bag with useful parts and began the long climb back to his hiding place. The tunnels were quieter than usual. Even the rats seemed nervous. He was almost home when he heard the explosion. The sound came from far above, but it shook the entire station. Lights flickered. Dust fell from the ceiling. Somewhere in the distance, alarms began to wail. Wu Jin dropped his bag and ran toward the nearest observation port. Through the thick glass, he could see flames and spinning metal. A small ship was falling toward the lower levels of the station. Falling toward the undercity, the ship hit the outer hull with a tremendous crash. More alarms joined the first ones. Emergency lights bathed everything in red. But the undercity emergency systems had been broken for years. Nobody bothered to fix them. Wu Jin knew he should run away. Whatever was happening up, there was not his problem. Humans who got involved in alien affairs usually got hurt. Or worse, but curiosity was stronger than fear. He had never seen an alien ship up close. This might be his only chance. He grabbed his bag and ran through the tunnels he knew so well. The crash site was not far away. The ship had torn through 3 levels of the station before stopping. Twisted metal and broken pipes blocked most of the passages, but Wu Jin was small and quick. The ship itself was beautiful and terrible. Its hull was made of some kind of crystal that still glowed with inner light. Strange symbols covered its surface. The whole thing hummed with energy that made Wu Jin's teeth ache. Through a crack in the hull, he could see movement. Someone was alive in there. Someone who needed help. Wu Jin looked around carefully. No other humans were coming. No alien rescue teams either. The Undercity was forgotten, as always. Whatever happened here, he was the only one who could help. He took a deep breath and crawled toward the broken ship. Inside, 3 aliens lay unconscious among the wreckage. One was tall and thin with skin like blue crystal. Another had 4 arms and a huge head. The third was enormous, with gray skin like stone. They were all breathing, but they were trapped behind a heavy piece of the ship's wall. Their rescue equipment was scattered and broken. Without help, they would die here in the forgotten tunnels of the Undercity. Wu Jin stared at them for a long moment. These aliens represented everything that kept humans down. They were the rulers, the oppressors, the ones who said humans were too stupid to understand advanced technology. But they were also 3 living beings who needed help. Wu Jin set down his bag and began to work. Wu Jin studied the broken alien technology with careful eyes. The ship's control panel was cracked and sparking. Wires hung loose from damaged circuits. Green fluid leaked from twisted pipes. Everything looked hopeless. But Wu Jin had fixed hopeless things before. He opened his bag and spread his tools on the floor. Most were simple items he had made himself from scrap metal. A few were alien devices he had repaired and improved. His hands moved quickly as he examined the ship's systems. The tall blue alien stirred and opened his eyes. They were silver, like mirrors, and they focused on Wu Jin with surprise and anger. "What are you doing, human?" The alien's voice was cold and sharp. "Step away from our technology immediately." Wu Jin did not move. "Your power core is failing. In 10 minutes, this ship will explode. The blast will kill you and damage half the station." "Impossible. You cannot understand our systems. Human minds are too primitive for quantum engineering." The alien tried to sit up, but fell back with a groan. His left arm was broken, and blue blood stained his silver uniform. Despite his pain, pride filled his voice. "I am Veltar, Supreme Commander of the Hegemony Fleet. I order you to leave this vessel at once." Wu Jin ignored him and continued working. He had found the main power coupling, a complex device that looked like a crystal flower made of light. It was beautiful, but it was also dying. The energy patterns were becoming unstable. You are making it worse. Veltar shouted as Wu Jin touched the coupling. Stop before you kill us all. But Wu Jin was not listening to words anymore. He was listening to the ship itself. Every machine had a rhythm, a heartbeat that told him what was wrong. This ship's heart was racing toward death, but he thought he could slow it down. The four-armed alien woke up next. Her huge head turned toward Wu Jin, and her eyes widened in shock. She had skin like pale gold and wore robes covered in scientific symbols. Fascinating, she whispered. The human is actually interfacing with our quantum matrices. This should be impossible. It is impossible, Veltar said through gritted teeth. He is probably making random connections that will destroy us faster. The golden alien shook her head. No, Commander. Look at his neural activity patterns. She pointed a small device at Wu Jin's head. His brain is processing quantum data. Streams in real time. I have never seen anything like this. I am Koindara, Chief Science Coordinator of the Federation Research Division, she said to Wu Jin. What you are doing defies everything we know about human cognitive limitations. Wu Jin finally looked up from his work. I do not know what those words mean, but I know this ship is hurt, and I can help it. He returned to the power coupling. In his hands, he held a small piece of metal from his collection. It looked like worthless junk, but Wu Jin saw something else. He saw how its molecular structure could bridge the gap in the alien crystal matrix. That is ordinary steel, Quindara said, scanning the metal. It cannot possibly interface with our technology. Wu Jin did not answer. He bent the steel with his fingers, shaping it carefully. Then he pressed it against the broken crystal. For a moment, nothing happened. Then light flowed through the metal like water. The crystal coupling stabilized. Power returned to the ship's emergency systems. The dangerous energy buildup began to fade. The third alien finally woke up. He was huge, with muscles like stone and scars covering his gray skin. His small eyes focused on Wu Jin with confusion. What is happening? Why is a human touching our systems? His voice was deep as thunder. The human saved our lives, Roxton, Quindara said softly. He repaired our quantum coupling using primitive materials and impossible techniques. Roxton sat up slowly. He was a warrior from a proud race that valued strength above all else. The idea that a weak human had rescued him was hard to accept. This makes no sense, he rumbled. Humans are the lowest species in the Federation. They cannot even maintain their own technology properly. Yet here we are, Quindara said, alive because of human ingenuity. Veltar struggled to his feet. His silver eyes burned with anger and shame. This incident will not leave this room. If word spreads that Federation commanders needed rescue from a human child, our authority will be questioned throughout the galaxy. But this is a significant discovery, Quindara protested. We must study how he interfaced with our systems. This could change our understanding of human potential. There is nothing to understand? Veltar snapped. It was luck. Random. Chance. Nothing more. Wu Jin finished connecting the last few circuits and stepped back. The ship was stable now, but it would need major repairs before it could fly again. He had done all he could with simple tools and scrap metal. Your ship is safe, he said quietly. But you should call for help. I cannot fix everything. He started to gather his tools, but Quindara stopped him with a gentle touch on his shoulder. Wait, what is your name? Wu Jin. Wu Jin, you have done something remarkable today. How? Did you know how to repair our systems? Wu Jin thought about the question. How could he explain something he did not fully understand himself? I see patterns, he said finally. Energy flows like water. If you understand the pattern, you can fix the flow. That is actually a valid description of quantum mechanics, Quingara whispered. Stated in the simplest possible terms, but fundamentally correct. Veltar limped over to them. His face was hard with suspicion. You said you live in these tunnels. What do you do here? I fix things that people throw away. I sell them for food. Show me your work, Veltar demanded. Wu Jin hesitated, then pulled a device from his bag. It had once been a broken alien scanner. Now it hummed with power and projected clear holographic displays. Quindara took the scanner and examined it. Carefully, her golden skin grew pale. This unit was classified as irreparable, she said. The quantum resonance chamber was completely destroyed. But somehow, you have rebuilt it using... What are these components? Scrap metal, old human circuits, a piece of broken glass. Impossible. These materials cannot sustain quantum fields. But they do, Wu Jin said simply. Roxton reached for the scanner. In his huge hands it looked like a tiny toy. But when he activated it, the device worked perfectly. Better than perfectly. It was more sensitive and accurate than the original design. The three aliens looked at each other in silence. Their entire worldview was built on the idea that humans were intellectually inferior. Yet this orphan boy had not only saved their lives, but had also improved their technology using garbage. This cannot become public knowledge, Veltar said. Finally, the implications would destabilize the entire Federation hierarchy. You mean people might realize that humans are smarter than you told them, Wu Jin said. It was not a question. Veltar's silver eyes flashed with anger. Humans are not smarter. This is an anomaly, a freak occurrence. But doubt crept into his voice, and in the depths of the Undercity, surrounded by the evidence of human ingenuity, even Supreme Commander Veltar began to wonder if everything he believed might be wrong. 3 days had passed since the crash. Word of what happened in the Undercity had somehow reached the highest levels of the Galactic Federation. Veltar stood in his temporary quarters, staring out at the stars, while his career crumbled around him. The Council of Species is demanding explanations, Quindara said as she entered the room. Her forearms held multiple data pads, all filled with urgent messages. Every major news network in the galaxy is asking questions. What are they saying? Veltar asked without turning around. That Federation commanders needed rescue from a primitive human. That our technology failed where human ingenuity succeeded. Some are even suggesting that we have been wrong about human capabilities all along. Veltar's hands clenched into fists. This is exactly what I feared would happen. Roxton entered the room, his heavy footsteps echoing on the metal floor. A massive warrior looked uncomfortable in the smaller space, designed for more delicate species. My people are laughing, he said bluntly. The greatest warriors in my clan are making jokes about the day I was saved by a human child. My honor is destroyed. All of our reputations are at stake, Veltar said, but I have a solution. He turned to face them, his silver eyes cold with determination. We will prove this was a meaningless accident. I am arranging a series of public tests. We will demonstrate beyond doubt that humans are intellectually inferior to the Federation species. Is that wise? Quindara asked. What if the boy succeeds? Again? He will not. The tests I have designed are far beyond any human's abilities. They require knowledge of advanced physics, military strategy, and engineering principles that no human has ever mastered. And if he fails? Roxton asked. When he fails, Veltar corrected, the galaxy will see that his previous success was pure luck. Our authority will be restored, and humans will return to their proper place in the Federation hierarchy. Meanwhile, in the Undercity, Wu Jin continued his normal life. He searched for useful parts, fixed broken devices, and tried to ignore the strange looks other humans gave him. News of his encounter with the aliens had spread through the human quarters, creating both admiration and fear. "You should not have helped them," Dong-su said as he handed Wu Jin a bowl of soup. The old man's mechanical legs whirred softly as he moved around his small food stall. "Aliens only bring trouble for our people." "They were hurt," Wu Jin said simply. "I could not just leave them. Your kindness will be repaid with cruelty. Mark my words." But not everyone agreed with Dong-su. A young girl named Su-jin had been following Wu Jin around for 2 days. She was maybe 12 years old, with bright eyes and quick hands. Like Wu Jin, she was an orphan who lived by her wits. "Is it true you fixed their ship with scrap metal?" She asked for the 10th time. Double quotes, "Yes. Could you teach me to do that?" Wu Jin looked at her seriously. "Do you really want to learn?" Su-jin nodded eagerly. "Then watch and listen. But do not expect it to be easy." As they walked through the tunnels together, Wu Jin began to explain what he saw when he looked at technology. He talked about energy patterns and flow dynamics, about how all machines were alive in their own way. Su-jin listened with intense concentration. Soon she was asking smart questions and making clever observations. Wu Jin realized that his abilities might not be as unique as he had thought. On the 4th day, an official announcement echoed through every speaker on New Seoul Station. Supreme Commander Veltar was inviting the human Wu Jin to participate in a series of technological challenges. The tests would be broadcast live across the galaxy. "It is a trap," Haewon said when she found Wu Jin in his usual hiding place. "They want to humiliate you in front of everyone." "Probably," Wu Jin agreed. "Then you will not go?" Wu Jin was quiet for a long moment. Through the small window in the tunnel wall, he could see human workers hurrying to their jobs. They kept their heads down and their voices low. They had been taught to believe they were inferior, and most of them believed it. "Maybe it is time someone tried," he said finally. The testing arena was set up in the station's main auditorium. Thousands of aliens filled the seats, while cameras broadcast to billions more across the galaxy. Wu Jin had never seen so many different species in one place. Some had scales, others had fur. Some floated in the air, while others scuttled on many legs. But they all shared one thing in common. They all looked at Wu Jin like he was an amusing curiosity that would soon be exposed as a fraud. Veltar stood on the central platform, his silver uniform gleaming under the bright lights. "Citizens of the galaxy," he announced, "today we will settle a question that has disturbed our peace. Can humans truly comprehend advanced technology, or was the recent incident merely an accident?" The crowd murmured with anticipation. In the human quarters of the station, workers gathered around old screens to watch. Many hoped Wu Jin would succeed. Others feared what might happen to all humans if he failed. "The first test is navigation," Veltar continued. "Our candidate must calculate a hyperspace jump through the Chaos Nebula, avoiding 17 different gravitational anomalies while maintaining a stable course." A holographic star map appeared in the air above the platform. It showed a swirling mass of dangerous space filled with black holes, neutron stars, and quantum storms. The safest path would require calculations that normally took Federation computers hours to complete. "You have 15 minutes, Veltar said with a cold smile. Wu Jin stepped up to the control console. The interface was completely unfamiliar, covered with symbols he had never seen before. But underneath the strange appearance, he could sense the same patterns he had learned to recognize in all technology. He closed his eyes and let his mind follow the energy flows through the system. The console was not just a machine for making calculations. It was a tool for seeing space itself. for understanding how gravity and time bent around massive objects. When he opened his eyes, his hands began to move across the controls. He did not think about what each symbol meant. Instead, he felt his way through the problem. Following instincts he could not explain. The crowd grew quiet as the holographic display showed his chosen path. It was not the route any Federation navigator would have picked. Instead of avoiding the dangerous areas, Wu Jin's course seemed to dance between them, using their gravitational forces like stepping stones. "Impossible," someone whispered. "He is using gravitational slingshot effects to reduce travel time by 40%. "The route should not work," another voice said. "The quantum interference alone should tear any ship apart." But as the computer simulation ran, Wu Jin's path proved not only safe, but faster than any conventional route. He had found a way through the chaos that no one else had ever seen. Veltar stared at the display in disbelief. This was supposed to be the easy test, designed to show human limitations with basic navigation principles. Instead, the boy had produced a masterpiece of space engineering. "The second test," Veltar announced, his voice slightly strained, "will be military strategy." Roxton stepped forward, his massive frame casting a shadow over the platform. "I will command a fleet of 1,000 ships in simulated battle. A human will have only 100 vessels. If he can survive for 30 minutes against my forces, he will pass this test." The holographic display changed to show two fleets facing each other in empty space. Roxton's ships were arranged in perfect military formation, a textbook example of overwhelming force, properly deployed. Wu Jin studied his smaller fleet with thoughtful eyes. He could not match the enemy's firepower or numbers. But he remembered something Dong Su had once told him about the mine accident that killed his parents. "Sometimes," the old man had said, "the biggest danger comes from the thing you never see coming." Wu Jin began to move his ships. The battle simulation lasted exactly 7 minutes and 32 seconds. That was how long it took Wu Jin to completely destroy Roxton's fleet. The massive warrior stared at the holographic display in stunned silence. His 1,000 ships were gone, reduced to glowing debris scattered across virtual space. Meanwhile, Wu Jin still had 93 vessels intact and operational. "How?" Roxton whispered. "I used every classic strategy. Perfect formations, overwhelming firepower, superior numbers." "You fought like you are supposed to," Wu Jin said quietly. "I fought like I needed to." The audience erupted in shocked murmurs. What they had witnessed defied everything they knew about military science. Wu Jin had not used superior technology or greater numbers. Instead, he had done something unprecedented. He had made Roxton's strengths into weaknesses. While the warrior arranged his ships in textbook formations, Wu Jin scattered his forces seemingly at random. When Roxton advanced in disciplined columns, Wu Jin's ships fled in all directions. It looked like cowardice, but it was actually preparation. As Roxton's fleet spread out to chase the fleeing humans, they lost their formation cohesion. Individual ships became isolated from their support groups. That was when Wu Jin struck. His scattered vessels suddenly converged on isolated enemy ships, overwhelming them with concentrated fire before disappearing again. Each attack was perfectly timed and precisely executed. Within minutes, Roxton's mighty fleet was cut to pieces by an enemy that refused to fight fair. "This is not honorable combat," Roxton protested. "A true warrior faces his enemies directly. A true survivor uses every advantage he can find," Wu Jin replied. "In the mines where my parents died, honor did not save anyone." Veltar stepped forward, his silver face pale with growing desperation. 2 tests had failed to expose human limitations. Instead, they had revealed capabilities that threatened the entire Federation hierarchy. The final test will be pure science. He announced, "For 50 years, our greatest minds have struggled with the problem of cascade energy failure in quantum reactors. If this human can solve a problem that has defeated our best scientists, then perhaps we have underestimated his species." Koindara activated another holographic display. This one showed a complex three-dimensional diagram of energy flows and particle interactions. Equations in multiple alien languages floated around the central image. "The problem is simple to state," she explained. "When quantum reactors exceed 90% capacity, they begin to experience cascade failures that lead to catastrophic explosions. We need a way to prevent these cascades without reducing reactor efficiency." The audience grew quiet. This was not a trick question or an impossible challenge. It was a real problem that affected every advanced civilization in the galaxy. Whoever solved it would revolutionize space travel and energy production. Wu Jin studied the display for several minutes without speaking. The equations meant nothing to him, but the energy patterns were familiar. He had seen similar flows in the broken alien devices he repaired. "May I use your tools?" he asked Koindara. She gestured to a complex control panel filled with scientific instruments. "Everything you need is here." But Wu Jing ignored the advanced equipment. Instead, he reached into his bag and pulled out a handful of scrap metal and broken circuits. The audience watched in amazement as he began to build something on the platform. "Floor, what is he doing?" someone asked. "Building a model," Koindara whispered. "A physical representation of the quantum flow patterns." Using twisted wire and bent metal, Wu Jin constructed a crude but accurate model of a quantum reactor. He connected pieces with string and balanced others on small stands. To most observers, it looked like a child's toy made from garbage. As he worked, the energy patterns became clear. Wu Jin could see exactly where the cascade failures began and how they spread through the system. More importantly, he could see how to stop them. "Here," he said, pointing to a specific junction in his model. "The problem starts here. The energy tries to flow in two directions at once, so it gets confused and starts to fight itself." "That is ... actually correct," Koindara said in amazement. "But how do we prevent the confusion?" Wu Jin smiled and reached into his bag again. He pulled out a small piece of crystal he had found in the garbage weeks ago. It was cracked and cloudy, completely worthless by alien standards. He placed the crystal at the junction point in his model. "You give the energy a helper," he said. "Something that shows it which way to go." The crystal began to glow softly. Energy flowed through Wu Jin's crude model in perfect harmony, with no trace of the chaotic patterns that caused cascade failures. Koindara ran to her instruments and began taking readings. Her forearms moved frantically across multiple control panels as she analyzed what was happening. "Impossible," she breathed. "The crystal is creating a resonance field that stabilizes the quantum flow. But that piece of broken mineral should not be able to sustain such precise frequencies. It could not before," Wu Jin said. "But I fixed it." "How?" Wu Jin shrugged. "I listened to what it wanted to be." The audience sat in absolute silence. They had just witnessed a human orphan solve a scientific problem that had puzzled the galaxy's greatest minds for 50 years. He had done it using garbage and intuition, with no formal training or advanced equipment, but the implications went far beyond one scientific breakthrough. If Wu Jin could do this, what might other humans accomplish if given the chance? Veltar felt his world crumbling around him. Everything he believed about human inferiority had been shattered in one afternoon. But admitting error was not in his nature. Instead, rage filled his silver eyes. "This proves nothing," he announced to the stunned crowd. "One anomalous human does not represent his entire species. The Federation hierarchy remains unchanged. But, even as he spoke, Veltar knew his words sounded hollow. Across the galaxy, billions of viewers had watched a human demonstrate capabilities that supposedly did not exist. Questions would be asked. Assumptions would be challenged. In the human quarters of New Sol Station, workers who had kept their heads down for generations began to stand straighter. Children who had been taught they were inferior began to wonder what they might accomplish. And in the deep tunnels of the Undercity, Su Jin turned to the other orphans who had gathered to watch the broadcast. "He did it," she whispered. Wu Jin showed them all, but their celebration was premature. The tests were over, but the real danger was just beginning. Men like Veltar did not surrender power easily. If they could not prove human inferiority, they might try to eliminate the evidence instead. High above the Undercity, in the gleaming corridors where the Federation elite made their plans, 3 desperate aliens were about to make a terrible decision. They had been humbled by a human orphan. Now they would ensure that no one else would ever learn from his example. The countdown to catastrophe had begun. Captain Yuhan had served in the Federation military for 20 years. He was one of the few humans to reach officer rank, and he had earned that position through absolute loyalty and perfect obedience. But as he stood in the communication center of New Sol Station, reading the coded message on his screen, he felt that loyalty crack. The orders were clear. New Sol Station was to be evacuated due to structural instability detected in the lower levels. All human residents would be relocated to work camps on distant mining worlds. The station would then be demolished as a safety measure. It was a lie. Yihan knew the real reason for the evacuation. The Federation elite could not allow the human population to remain together after what Wu Jin had demonstrated. Scattered across different worlds, humans would be easier to control and harder to inspire. But the worst part was hidden in the technical specifications. The demolition would be caused by quantum charges planted throughout the station's infrastructure. The explosion would be so complete that no evidence would remain of what had happened in the Undercity. Wu-Jin would die, and with him, the proof that humans could be more than servants. Yuhan stared at the message for a long time. Then he made a choice that would end his military career and possibly his life. He began to send unauthorized communications to every human on the station. Meanwhile, deep in the Undercity, Wu Jin was teaching Su Jin how to repair a damaged power cell. The events of the past few days felt like a strange dream. He had stood before the galaxy and proven something he did not fully understand himself. "Do you see the crack in the crystal matrix?" he asked, pointing to a hairline fracture in a device. Su Jin nodded eagerly. "It looks like the energy is leaking out through there." "Good. Now, what would you use to seal it?" The girl examined her collection of scrap materials. After a moment, she selected a thin piece of metal wire. "This has the right flexibility, and if I heat it just a little..." She was learning fast. Too fast, perhaps. Wu Jin was beginning to realize that his abilities were not unique gifts. They were human abilities that had been suppressed and ignored for so long that even humans had forgotten they existed. "Wu Jin!" Hei Wen's voice echoed through the tunnel as she ran toward them. "We have to leave. Now. What is wrong?" Captain Yuhan sent a warning to all human workers. "The Federation is planning to destroy the station. They have planted explosives everywhere." Wu Jin felt cold fear grip his heart. "How long do we have? 6 hours, maybe less." Yihan is trying to organize an evacuation, but there are 50,000 humans on this station. We cannot get them all to safety in time. Su Jin grabbed Wu Jin's arm. "Can you stop the explosives? Like you fixed their ship?" "I do not know. I would have to find them first, and there could be hundreds of charges spread throughout the station." "But you have to try," Su Jin said. You are the only one who can. Wu Jin looked at the determination in her young eyes and felt something change inside him. For most of his life, he had worked alone, helping only himself. But Wu Jin was no longer just one orphan trying to survive. He had become a symbol of human potential, whether he wanted that responsibility or not. I will need help, he said finally. You have it, Hei-Wan replied immediately. Me too, Sujin added. Within an hour, word had spread through the human quarters. Workers abandoned their posts and came to the Undercity carrying tools, equipment, and desperate hope. Dong Su arrived with a group of miners who knew the station's structure better than anyone. Even Captain Yu Han came, having burned his bridges. With the Federation command. I have the locations of some of the charges, Yu Han said, spreading a station schematic on the floor. But there are gaps in the intelligence. The aliens hid their work well. Wu Jin studied the map carefully. The charge placements followed. A pattern, but it was not the pattern he would have expected. The aliens had not simply tried to cause maximum destruction. They had positioned the explosives to create a specific type of failure. They want it to look like an accident, he realized. The charges are placed to simulate structural collapse, not an explosion. Can you find the rest? Yahan asked. Wu-Jin closed his eyes and let his mind extend through the station's systems. He had learned to feel the flow of energy through machines. Now he tried to sense something different, the presence of devices that did not belong. There, he said, pointing to several locations on the map. And there, and there. His intuition painted a complete picture of the alien plan. They had turned the entire station into a weapon aimed at its own inhabitants. The next few hours became a desperate race against time. Teams of humans spread throughout the station, following Wu Jin's directions to locate hidden charges. But finding the explosives was only half the battle. Disarming them required understanding alien technology. That was supposedly beyond human comprehension. Wu Jin moved from team to team, showing them what he saw in each device. The charges were elegant pieces of engineering, designed to be tamper-proof and undetectable. But they all shared the same fundamental weakness. They had been built by beings who thought humans were too stupid to understand them. See this control circuit? Wu Jin explained to a group of miners gathered around a hidden charge. It expects complex commands in the alien language. But if you just touch these 2 points together, the device powered down safely, its threat neutralized by the simplest possible intervention. As each charge was disarmed, something remarkable happened. The humans working on them began to understand the underlying principles. They started finding more charges on their own, using the same intuitive approach Wu Jin had taught them. We can do this, Sujin whispered as she successfully disarmed her third device. We can really do this. But their success had not gone unnoticed. High above in the command center, Veltar watched security monitors with growing rage. They are destroying our charges, he snarled. How is this possible? The human boy is teaching them, Quindara said quietly. He is showing them how to think like engineers instead of laborers. Then we accelerate the timeline. Detonate the remaining charges now. That will kill thousands of innocent beings, Quindara protested. Innocent? Veltar's silver eyes blazed with fury. They are all conspirators in the destruction of galactic order. Better to eliminate them now than allow this contamination to spread. He reached for the detonation control, but Roxton's massive hand stopped him. I cannot allow this, the warrior said. There is no honor in murdering civilians. Honor? Veltar laughed bitterly. Our honor was destroyed the moment we needed rescue from a human child. Now we salvage what we can from the wreckage. The 3 aliens faced each other in tense silence. Their alliance of desperation was cracking under the weight of what they were about to become. In the Undercity, Wu Jin felt the change in the station's energy patterns. The remaining charges were powering up for immediate detonation. They are triggering the explosives early, he announced to the teams. We have minutes, not hours. Panic spread through the human workers, but Wu Jin raised his voice above the fear. Listen to me. We cannot disarm them all in time, but we can do something else. We can turn their own weapon against them. He began to explain his plan, and gradually, hope returned to frightened faces. The quantum charges were designed to create a cascade failure that would tear the station apart. But cascade failures could be controlled, redirected, even reversed. If the humans could coordinate their efforts perfectly, they could turn the alien weapon into something entirely different. Instead of destroying New Seoul Station, the explosion would create a massive electromagnetic pulse that would disable every alien ship in the area. It was impossible. The timing would have to be perfect down to microseconds. The coordination would require dozens of teams working in perfect harmony across the entire station. But as Wu Jin looked around at the determined faces surrounding him, he realized that impossible was just another word for something humans had not tried yet. Su Jin, take your team to level 7. Hey 1, you handle the upper pylons. Dong Su, the mining crews know the deep structures better than anyone. As he gave out assignments, Wu Jin felt a strange peace settle over him. This was what he had been born to do. Not to hide in tunnels and fix broken things alone, but to help his people discover what they were truly capable of. The final countdown began. Throughout New Seoul Station, humans worked with quiet determination to turn their executioner's blade into a shield. And in the command center, 3 alien elites watched their perfect plan crumble before the ingenuity of the species they had underestimated. The galaxy would never be the same.